Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this session of Inspiring Conversations. And a reminder of what, why, and we are doing this. The Inspiring Conversations, it's all about creating conversations that really matter. We're diving into ways to connect deeply, break down barriers, to build moments that inspire trust and growth, whether it is with your trust, whether it is with your team at work or in your everyday chats. We'll bring more positivity, realness, and impact to every conversation. As always, I am stationed in a town called Grundarfjörður in Iceland on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, where the glacier Snæfellsnes Glacier is, and that is where the infamous start of the journey to the center of the world by Jules Verne took place. But enough of that. This is the mountain Kirkjufell, and the rock in front of the picture is a sculpture by an artist named Liston. So please check him out. But today we are in an exciting world. We are going to talk about practical leadership, passionately of that. And my guest today, she has written a book called Practical Leadership, Simplifying the Complexity. And I think that we only can do now, what we can do now is to invite Pradeepa Narayanaswamy.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Naveen.
I knew that I would mess up. Sorry.
I loved it. I loved
Oh,
it. I got the drum and everything. Hey, I'm ready to go. I'm
yes.
jazzed. I'm excited. Woohoo!
So thank you for joining me, I'm so happy that you could step in by a short notice. But so welcome, and I hope we will talk about your book because our topic today is, so I don't want to forget it. It goes off well, doesn't it? But we are going to talk about leadership on your terms, bringing heart, presence, and power into high pressure spaces. So, should we start with who is Pradeepa? So, oh, and welcome. Like I have to mention, because you have connected your Facebook and your LinkedIn to this session. So, people, if you have any questions, just write them into the comments, and maybe you will be so lucky that you can see them underneath our lovely pictures. So, Pradeepa, now you have to tell us, who are you, why are you, what are you, and who are
Wow.
you?
I am in one line. I am merely a human being wanted to do something good for other people. And
Mm,
one of the ways that I have come to be that person for others is to look and mine for diamonds. And what I mean by that is every one of us in this world, no matter who we are, where we are born into, what culture, what identity, what country, what religion, what affiliations we have or not, it doesn't matter. Every one of us in this beautiful world possess amazing diamonds. And what I mean by that is these are the brilliance that we are born with, the qualities that makes us us, that makes us human, and the brightness that not only elevates ourselves, but also has the power to elevate everybody who's around us. And for me, in my work, I started focusing on looking for and mining for and bringing out and reflecting back on those diamonds to other people. Because when I focus on finding diamonds, all I'm going to find are diamonds. That's who I
But,
am.
and I think when you said that you were mining for diamonds, and that is why I contacted you, because I found it beautiful sentence. I'm mining for diamonds.
Mm.
But why is it like? Why did you embark on that journey? Well, like, what was it that catapulted? Because of course we are all diamonds, but why do we go so deep that we don't believe that we are diamonds? So did you have some experience in your, because I know we talked about it before we started, that you were in India and then you got married and then you moved to America and like blah blah blah, and then you have the whole world in front of you. So what did you go to university, or what catapulted you to talk? Because of course we want to believe everybody is a diamond,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's a it's it's not about um, one specific moment that kind of like, oh my god, this is it. Actually, the phrase, looking for diamonds, I made it mining for diamonds as my own. But the
Yeah,
first time I came across one of Steve Chandler's work in Reinventing Yourself, in one of the chapters, he talked about if you look for diamonds, all you're going to be finding is diamonds. If you look for dirt, all you're going to be finding is dirt. And that statement was so profound for me. Out of everything I read in that book, and I read that book multiple times, Reinventing Yourself by Steve Chandler, that statement kind of, gotten so deep into me. It landed really, really deep and powerfully. And the profoundness of that statement is not a doing thing. It's not like I'm, mining for diamonds as like a physical activity or something like that. It's who I am being with somebody. How I am, you know, how am I being present with somebody? Who am I being for that other person? And where am I coming from? And to me, I have a choice. If I'm looking to find dirt on somebody, guess what? I can find so much
yeah,
dirt on somebody. But rather, what would be useful and helpful and healthy and positive and loving and compassionate and caring is, what can I find that is so out there? Sometimes people forget, people don't see it because they are so focused on finding something not good. And sometimes even the person themselves forget that they have some of this brilliance hidden inside them. To me, I thought that would be a beautiful way to connect deeply and meaningfully with another human being. And that's where mining for diamonds came about for me, Pierin.
yeah. And that is maybe I knew that it was not that you were physically out there with like axe and whatnot and picking dirt and stuff, but it's more of the phrasing, mining for diamonds in the human. It's just like so beautiful to say it, because it's
Mm.
just we all have some assets to
Yeah,
give or to, and somewhat like you say, we can find awful lot of dirt if we
yeah,
want to,
yeah,
and but and people sometimes in their way, in their path, they get knocked down and then they start to believe the dirt, or
yeah,
they think that they are not a human or a person or a person of value, because
Yeah,
that is like, if we take the metaphor of the diamond, we all have something to bring. So,
absolutely.
but when was it that you read this book, and like, what, did you get some like, how did it how did it expire? Like, you know, when you sit and read this, you read this book, and then you just like, there is something in this book that you just like, oh, there's something there, but you don't recognize. Like, how was it then when you got maybe, aha, now I know. And then you started to work with this in this con, because as I say, I find it so empowering to say, I'm mining for diamonds
Yeah,
in you, like we can have a brackets in you.
yeah.
So how was it when you realized that you had something like, yes, this is, as you mentioned, there was something in the book that resonated with you. You wouldn't have read it twice or three times or 50 times.
Yeah.
So what was it that like, what was it? Did you look in the mirror one day and said,
I
mining
don't.
for diamonds?
It it was simply just when I read that statement. I have to literally put the book down. This I read this more than 4 years ago, Hede, right? And I literally put the book down because that kind of went in so deeply into me. I don't want it to proceed. I just wanted to process this. I just wanted to sit with this. What it actually means, right? Like what is that deep message? Like why is that something so deeply moving in me when I read this statement? Because in organizations, I wanted to take it back to our lives, right? Like in corporate life or in our personal life, it doesn't matter. Oftentimes we experience other people from the place of their lack, their inefficiencies, or things that they don't do good, things that they are not you know getting, whatever
Yeah,
that may
yeah.
be. It's very, very, very common, right? Even like one of the things, you mentioned about my book. I've written 2 chapters on feedback. Feedback is a very, if I say, like, if I go to my team member and say, like, hey, can I share some feedback with you? Oftentimes, maybe me, maybe you, maybe somebody else, person A says that to person B, and I have tested this. Oftentimes people have this visceral reaction and say, like, pardon my language, oh my god, or oh shit, what did I do wrong, or what did I screw up, like, oh, okay, what did I mess up? That's the visceral reaction people have, because somehow we have made some of these meaningful, useful conversations into finding that dirt and talking about that dirt. And oftentimes people are not, they themselves are not proud of what we call as dirt, and they want it to be hidden. They want that to be hidden. They're ashamed of it. They're fearful that it will get exposed. So people are always trying to protect, to defend, to hide, to polish, to put a makeup on, whatever, or to hide it under the rug, whatever that may look like. People are not happy about the dirt, what they think is the dirt in their life. So,
Right,
but
but do you think it's a cultural thing? Because are we, is that because you must meet a whole lot of people in your at your work or in your work life? Is it just common? Like, is that what you remember from growing up in India? And because I definitely remember that growing up here in Iceland, that it was when
yeah,
you got something, it was always nitpicking, or like
yes,
you could have
yes,
done, instead of like asking open questions, said, why did you choose this, or why did you
yeah,
do this in this sense of way?
absolutely. Um, Growing up in India, yes, there is always, you know, criticisms or complaints or pressure that you have to do this, and, why are you not good at this? Why are you not getting this, right? Like, why don't you have this? There's a lot of pressure. I'm not generalizing this, but growing up, I've experienced it personally. And, you know, and moving to the US after my marriage, and I worked for several companies here, being here for more than 25 years. I actually lived in US more than I've lived in India. I've crossed that mark here. And I've worked with so many organizations. I've coached a lot of hundreds of people from, and the good thing about living here in the US is you get to meet people from all around the globe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I
yeah, yeah.
have that luxury here. And what I'm sharing about feedback, that's just as an example, many of them has that kind of that visceral reaction. So there is, again, I think it's more than the cultural aspects. It's about how we see ourselves as human, how how proud and how good we feel about ourselves as human. And when there is even a small amount of, hey, if somebody is going to expose what we think is our flaws, I'm going to get all my shield up and I'm going to protect myself and I'm going to defend, I'm going to fight, or whatever that may look like, right? So people are often worried about and afraid of what I'm calling the dirt, what they think is their dirt. So in all these experiences, when I read that statement, what came to me was the choice that I have here. When I say the choice that I have here is, I can focus on mining for diamonds and look for diamonds in other people, and that's an intentional choice. Or I have a choice to look for dirt. Either way, whatever I'm looking for, I'm going to find it.
Before we continue, because I want to give a shout out to your fellow countryman
Aishwarya.
Aishwarya, and she says like feedback is very essential and crucial tool in communication. It should be healthy in nature while practiced, and that is. But isn't it? Thank you for this, Aishwarya. And but isn't it because when you I remember that whenever, like you said, you were called into the office of the manager, the teacher said something or like and you that it is the natural reaction. There is something, oh, I'm not perfect, I'm imperfect,
Yeah.
now I have made a cock up, or I have done something wrong, really wrong, yada yada yada. And you the first reaction is
Yes.
you put your hands in front of you and you want to, instead of, but we have learned since every psychology got, we talk about the sandwich method where it's positive, negative, positive, and like whatnot, and but we have to be able to be open because we live and learn every day, or we learn
Absolutely.
and live, like however you want to talk about it. But
Absolutely.
let's so if we go to your back to your book, Practical Leadership, because I find it's really interesting that you what your week, because our theme is like bringing heart, presence, and power into high pressure spaces, and
Yeah.
you have managed to get, and you are friends with the top thinker in the like universe, Marshall Goldsmith. So how is it when you start thinking about this? And because for me, it's like you struck gold. Like you literally hit something that, and it's so wonderful to experience when you get this and you get people to, like when I saw this, when we talked, when we contacted, I was just like, oh my God, this is so right. This is the perfect wording of I see you. You are a diamond. You are like you have so much value in
Yeah.
yourself. You are a
Yeah.
diamond in the and of course our kids, they are diamonds in the rough, and we just have to help them polish.
Yeah.
But the book is like it says on the back of the book, like great leaderships not uh, innate. Great
Yeah.
leadership's not in is well, the best leadership is intentionally and consciously created. It is about choosing to come from a higher self and seeing the diamonds in ourselves and others. So how when you approach people or people approach you, I gather that it's not you, Hannah, because I find it so like you must have thousands phone calls a day in quotation marks. Like when you approach companies or companies approach you and talking about this, how do they perceive you? Like how do they soak it in, or are they like, like your workshops, like what you do? Can you tell us a little bit about how they, like how are you perceived, and when you go out, and do they just
Yeah.
fold their
Well,
hands and
I love this. I really love this. By the way, Aishwarya, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing this amazing and essential, comment about feedback and how it's such a crucial tool. I completely agree with you, dear. Um, Going back to your question, Hidin, this is something that I started embracing. It's not something I just say it to be cool, or it's a
oh no, no,
cool
yeah, yeah, yeah,
tagline.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
something that I embrace deeply into it, and how I'm showing up for others comes from the place of mining for diamonds. That is so engraved and so deepened into me. The beautiful side effect of that being and teaching has spread to all the people that I work with. So when I have a conversation with my clients, or when they talk about me to other people, they started using the verbiage themselves. I'm going to mine for diamonds. And one of them says, like, I'm mining for gold. Okay, whatever precious metal you like, that's totally cool, right? But it's that it's when people experience that from you, when they see how empowering it is to be seen, be recognized, be acknowledged, and that really sticks with people. And that's the best way to connect with somebody powerfully. And when you connect with somebody powerfully, the way that you show up as a leader, you can create so much magic, rather than coming and saying, like, okay, here's the status report. Here are the 10 things that are wrong with the status report today. It is a choice. You can absolutely do that. But there is, to me, it's about how do I connect with somebody that makes it meaningful for them. And when they leave that connection, they remember how they were, how they felt, how they were seen, how they were acknowledged, right? And they go with a great feeling about themselves, not about the person, but about themselves. Hey, you know what? I am doing something good here in this world. I'm doing something good in the work here. Maybe there are things that I can improve upon, but they ground themselves from a very positive place.
Aishwarya, she is fantastic. So
Yeah.
leadership, she says, leadership should be dynamic act to flexibility, flexible, okay, my voice, my brain and mouth are not connected. Leadership should be dynamic act to flexibility approach,
All
flexible
right.
approach. I will get it. I
You
will.
got it. You got it. I love it.
I feel open and inclusiveness will bring considerable conversations. And that
Absolutely.
is, but somehow, why is it that, like, because when you go to school and you move on, you go to high school, go to college, university, and whatnot, and everything. And when you go out to the working world, you meet people who, like, I would say, I think we should run the company like this. And you know, from the old times, like when Henry Ford started, like, and you have this hierarchy of like from the top and to bottom and whatnot, and but are people skeptical? Are leaders skeptical when they like it is pros because, well, if I am loving and caring, then I will look like weak, or there are so many things that we could
Yeah.
put up there, out there.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a lot of perception around that.
Yeah,
If I'm using the word love and care, will I be looked at as weak? In fact, I am not. I am loving, kind, caring, and compassionate, and I'm always mining for diamonds. That doesn't mean that my teams are not high performing team members. The people are not doing and they are just running around doing what they want. No, both of them can coexist. To me, when I am when people know that I'm always looking for diamonds and I'm always going to be acknowledging, the trust in that relationship is going to deepen. I'm finding all ways to acknowledge people, and when I'm having that kind of deeper relationship with all the people in my ecosystem, it is easy for me to bring opportunities to them and say, hey, you know, these are all the brilliant things. I do see an area that is going to, if we look at it and if we work on it, it's going to, make your life even better, make your work even shine better. Are we open for that conversation? I can help you with that. Guess what? What do you think people will say? I have done this. People will say, yes, absolutely, let's talk about it. Because they know that, people know that when I'm looking for always diamonds, I'm coming from that place. People know that when I am pointing out an opportunity, they know where I'm coming from. So they don't have to get that guards out or do this or no, I'm going to defend myself. None of them will happen. People
I
can.
have. Yeah, yeah. I have added mining for diamonds underneath the topic, so just to because I find it's so brilliant because that
Yeah,
is what we are. Because
yeah.
and it must also be like you hire this person. Why shouldn't you trust that person to be the diamond in the like you need,
We
isn't it?
forget that. We
Yes,
forget that. We often forget that. That's the reason why when I work with organizations and senior leaders and stuff, basically, if I'm not being with them in person, it's like me putting my hands on their shoulders and shaking up and say, like, up, wake up,
listen to me.
wake up. Because people often forget this, the busyness that we have, the meetings that we have to jump to, the pressure, the stress that we take on ourselves. People forget their own brilliance, and when you forget about your own brilliance, you can't find that in other people hidden. I start with myself.
Yeah,
If I don't acknowledge my own brilliance, what I'm bringing to this world and to other people, there is no way I can see that in other people. It's the same thing, right? If you cannot love yourself enough, there is no way you would be able to love other people. What you can't and you don't recognize, you can't recognize in other person.
yeah, yeah, profound. But I have another question from
Yeah,
a good man that is Rab Bassi, but
yeah.
his name is also Rab Binder. I hope I say it right, Rab. He's my friend from the UK, and he
Mm.
says, Pradeepa,
Hi, hi, Rab.
can you recommend some quick techniques beyond listening to build trust with the chaotic and untrusting team that you have inherited?
Yeah, love that question, Rab. Thank you so much for asking. And this is something a lot of people experience, right? Not everybody has the luxury to create their dream team of choice by recruiting who they think would be ideal. You are given with certain people oftentimes. Personally, what I think would be helpful here, and this is something I don't say stuff that I haven't even done myself. What I have done is, the first step as a leader is to create that trust and rapport with all the people in my ecosystem. Be with them, get to know them, see their brilliance, look for those brilliance, right? And acknowledge them, share about you. It's not just what you want to know about them. Connect with them in a way that's profound, right? So the connection is what is going to be helpful here. And when you connect with them, it's not a single conversation, it's not a straightforward technique or a strategy that you can implement. If there is a strategy, every one of those leaders in the world who is inheriting a team with same challenges that Rab was mentioning, they would implement this strategy and all will be gold. Leadership is not like it's, you do have to put your time and work and energy in as a human, as a person, to understand, and it takes time. There is
Yeah,
no
yeah,
shortcut here. It does take time, and it's not a straight line from A to B. You have to go here, you have to go here, you
mm,
have to go here, you have to figure it out. And for some people you may be able to click quickly. For some people it's going to take time. They may not
yeah.
trust you immediately. Understand, one of the things I would encourage Rab to try is share what your trust factors are, Rab, with all the people. If you're a leader for a team, tell them, here are the things that helps me trust the people more, because oftentimes we don't talk about that. And ask individually or your team, what are all the things that are important for them to be able to extend trust. It is mutual. And when both of you, all the parties, know what it means to trust each other, then you can really honor that and agree on that, how you are going to be operating, how you are going to be communicating, how you are going to be collaborating and working with each other.
Brilliant. Yeah, I was also like, uh, I know that you are much better than me in this. So the name is
Shravan?
Srava. Thank you.
Shravan.
I don't want to kill. I don't want to kill his name. Just like
It's
I don't want.
Shravan.
Thank you. So welcome, welcome. And he says like he thanks us of course for the great discussion. But feedback, connection, curiosity, and consciousness are key for any leader to lead with impact and influence. So great,
Yes.
great stuff coming there. And then we have Rap. He says, like, because you now you have answered him, but
Yeah,
he likes your approach. And if you don't show trust, how can you expect them to trust you?
absolutely.
It's
Ab-
always A to B, and
Absolutely.
like, how are you going to get? And then again,
Absolutely.
and now we have Tim Nolan. Yay, I could say that without slaughtering the man's name. It's very important to be genuine.
Yes.
Being yourself builds trust. But that when you were speaking in all these comments, it must also, how much in all of this do you reckon? What about the upbringing, the norms, the values, the uh, whatever the parents give you, and like some cultures are very like you don't show any emotions, and some people they are just like, oh, I'm so like my aura is not aligned today, and like, and you are just like, what, say what, like, how do you connect, or how do you approach that when you have a set of values, and maybe you have learned from an early age that you are not to step in front of, or
Mm.
you are not to show yourself, and you are not like, there are so many restrictions that you
Yeah.
learn, and they're
Yeah.
like, and they can also like make some brain waves, not because as we, because I'm all for it, that we all have a purpose in this life.
Yeah.
We are not here just for waking up and working and go to sleep. So what do you do when you sense that the values and norms from the rucksack that the people have are carrying? What do you do? How do you because as you say, it takes time from getting to A to B, and you have
Yeah,
to like it is not it can be like this, and you are just like, how can
absolutely.
you take the silver lining, take the silver threads, and go from there?
Absolutely. I love that question. Um, there is so much that we carry from what's being taught to us, things that we have observed, things that we think worked did not work, and we carry all of that, and that's how we show up in our life. And for me, my own growth journey, and I've been on my own growth journey, working with coaches continuously for the last 10 years, and worked with one of the best coaches now, Ankush. And it's about peeling the layers, right? Like it's about peeling the layers and figure out what's going on. What is, what about this is not sitting with me, right? And understanding and being aware, that's the first thing, right? Like one of the first things that pretty much all my clients, all my students learn from me is the awareness piece. Because if we are not aware, if you're just going through the motions day in and day out, day in and day out, I call it autopilot leadership. You're just going through the motions, and at the end of the day, you're still feeling stressed, you're still busy, you're still rolling. And like you said, like getting up in the morning, going through the work and sleep, getting up in the morning, going through the work and sleep. Intentionality comes with being aware, and when you're being aware, and then you bring consciousness into, okay, this is the team that I'm going to be working with, this is a challenge that I'm going to be facing today. Or like in very well in Rob's example, like I'm inheriting a team here, nobody is trusting each other. The first question I would ask, if I were to lead a team like that, the first question I would ask myself is, who do I want to be for this team? And being clear and being aware, and then intentionally and consciously choose that way. I want to be curious. I want to show trust. I want to be empathetic, irrespective of where people are coming from. I want to acknowledge people for all the good work they have done. I want to respect for what perspectives are being shared. And that's my being. And if I'm really clear and take a bit of a time to be clear on where I wanted to come from, and then go into my meeting or my conversation, that's who I am going to be. But if I'm running from meeting A to meeting B, oh my God, like this is going to be the worst meeting. Look, everybody told me that this is not a good team to work with. They're all fighting with each other. There's no trust among themselves. Like, oh, it's going to be a nightmare. And if I go to the meeting like that, how do you think I'm going to show up? Everything everybody says, I'm thinking like this is a nightmare. This is the toughest thing. So how we prepare ourselves, who we want, how we show up as who we are being, that's the key. And that's how we will show up. And that's how we will experience other people.
And I, like Rap, he comments like trust is not agreeing. It's about
Yeah.
being straight and empathetic. Because
Yeah.
and Aishwarya, she says like honest and respectful style do matter in
Yeah.
leadership. And
Absolutely.
Aishwarya, you don't have to guess, because I think that that is the
It
best
is.
thing. Show up, because you have
Um,
to show interest. What is happening in the your staff members' life? Like you can't ignore if somebody's grandmother dies, and you are like you have to show some respect, don't you? Because there is this thing called life
yeah.
and stuff. But how is it? I know that the leadership thing, because I just want to dive into your when you go out and you are working with this and extroverts, introvert, and because sometimes people who talk much, they think they are the most clever people in the world, but they are loud and they just take over a meeting or whatnot, and then there sit this quiet little mouse, if you can say that, and then all of a sudden that mouse opens its mouth, or her mouth or his mouth or whatever, and says something that is just, whoa, yes, what
Yeah.
happened there? How do you get people to see this? How do you get people that you have to notice how is the environment? How do you take everybody in? And I'm not talking about then when we, yeah, I remember in 78 when I, bringing some memories up and doing this and that. Like, you just have to get everybody out there because your meaning, your value is that if you go from there, like, you are a diamond, and
Yeah.
you have to speak out.
Yeah.
Because some people, they don't want to do that because they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to say something and then they will be laughed at. This is like, I start to think about bullying, like, because
Yeah.
that is what we taught. Don't say anything because you're stupid, or don't say. But you're not stupid if you have gone through college. You're not stupid. Like, everybody has something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to share an example here, and I will talk about the short answer for your question is it's about whomever is leading, what kind of environment they are creating for others. That's the key. I will say that I will come back to it, but I wanted to share a story from one of my work experiences a while ago. This organization, whenever you have a team meeting, I was one of the senior leaders there. I was not the top leader, but one of the really senior leaders in that organization. Whenever this organization had a broader meeting with all their customers and stakeholders, the chat, you should see the chat, just like, how Aishwarya, Rab, and Tim and Shravan are participating, the chat window is full of, um, you know, what I would say positive comments, but when you read it, you know that it's not genuine. Fake positivity, right? Um, because all the senior leaders were there, like from the organization, and many people just wanted to say everything is great, everything looks lovely, and this is good, and this is that, right? The reason why I call it fake is because people coming out of the meeting, they will talk and complain about all the people they thought they were saying this is good and this and stuff. So, right, like what's being said
Uh-huh.
on the chat window in a group meeting when your senior leader is watching versus what somebody is actually saying when none of those people are there. When they don't match, you have a problem. So, the reason why that whole environment had toxic positivity and fake positivity being, generously flowing in those meetings is because whatever, like who was setting that meeting, what was that intention, how are people being measured, and when some will is that a place where somebody can raise their hand and say, hey, this is all great, but something is not working here, this is a problem. Do you think when everybody is awing and oohing and high-fiving and heart emojis and smile emojis and congratulating each other, do you think anybody would be willing to raise their hand and say, like, wait, something is not right here, this is a problem, if we don't look at it, let's talk about that? That environment is not conducive. There was no way anybody would be able to say that. And why I want to share this story is this happens a lot in many organizations. This is a sign of how an environment is created. An environment is created based on how a leader, he or she or they, are showing up. What is important for them? How are they? It's not what they are expecting from other people. How are they showing up? right? If the leader is raising their hand and saying like, this is all wonderful, but something is really bothering me about project A or a program A or this A or team A, can we take like 5 minutes and talk about that? When a leader says that, they are role modeling. Let's have tough conversations too. Let's talk about things that nobody is talking about. We don't have to get into a separate room with 5 people and talk about it. Let's be transparent. Let's openly talk about it. That's an environment they're choosing to create. And when that environment is not created at whatever level, it doesn't matter, people are not going to show up truthfully and honestly. It has to start. If a team member is misbehaving, or in your, in your definition, misbehaving or being unprofessional or whatever that is, I wouldn't go to the team member directly and figure out like, why are you doing this, what's wrong, and yada yada yada. I would be curious about the environment that's been created for them, that makes them behave a way, that makes them behave in a certain way, right? It's about the leader, how, what kind of environment they are creating, and what kind of environment and behaviors they're also tolerating. And when I'm talking about tolerating, is this is okay, this is not okay. We want to be respectful of everybody, period, no matter what. This is how we talk to each other, this is not how we talk to each other. Do we have agreements like that? Does, if I go into an organization, it takes a while to understand who is what is okay with them, what's not okay with them. Nobody talks about that. I'm a big proponent of Rabas. Like, do you think a leader can create a toxic environment? Yes. They may not originate some of the toxicity, but if they are allowing, and if they are not being, if they don't have an idea that these are all the things that are happening, or nobody is coming and telling them, hey, this is not feeling right for me, and if they're not doing anything about it, bringing the right people, creating the right agreements, creating the right work environment, they are they may be supporting the toxic environment. So it is in every leader's responsibility to create, to nurture, to make sure that the environment is good for everybody to show up in a kind manner, in a professional manner, in a respectful manner, so that they can do a good job. They can bring their best.
But like, because we are talking about also, when I think what you're saying, it's so true. And do you think that leaders give themselves a chance or the time to sit with the team and lay some ground rules? Here, we want to trust each other.
Yeah.
Here, when we show up to meeting, like I'm really inclined to say, like, bring paper and pen. Don't bring your phones. Don't bring your computers. Let's just go through stuff and acknowledge or whatever, and so we can bring out the real stuff. And but one of the things I think it is the leader, although you have an idea of how things should be done, then if you have people, 5 people in a room, and they have maybe A, B, C, D, E, and then they can merge these things together in a one big balloon that can just like. So, do you think that they realize that they have to have this talk before anything else, and make it maybe once a month or once every third month, just to go, okay, where are we at? How
Yeah.
is, are we trusting? Are we showing compassion? Are we empathetic? Are we like taking all these words and allowing people to say, well, I feel unseen when you did the, or like not the blaming game, but more of saying and
Yeah.
talking about feelings, because
Yeah.
sometimes we just like, oh, feelings, oh, no, oh, like I don't want to, oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what Tim shared here, right? It is extremely important for leaders to create explicit agreements with all the people. So people know, I told you, right? Like if you go into an organization, if you're inheriting a new team, you don't know what the norm is. You don't know what trust factors are. You don't know anything about what their preferred communication method is, what's okay, how to give feedback, how to collaborate, what's okay, what's not okay, what can we say. There's so many things that are unknown. It can be really stressful for people to navigate that situation. For some people, they may be working with the same set of people for several years, so it takes a lot of years to figure somebody out. For me, I wanted to change that. And one of the topics that I talk explicitly in the book is about how to get on the same page quickly, right? And how to get on the same page quickly. It's not a one-time deal. It's
Yeah.
about talking about what is important for every one of us. And as a leader, when I had big team, I used to take a lot of time and tell all my team members, here are my leadership principles. Here are the things that I value and why I value those. And that way it cuts short. People don't have to figure me out. People don't have to have several meetings to understand what my trust factors are, how I like to collaborate, how, what would be the best way to communicate with me, and things like that. Or what will happen if they mess up, or what will happen if I mess up, things like how to give feedback. No, I will make it easy. Let's have that conversation right up front. Let me lay all of this out, and I will this will be a longer conversation. This is such a worthy conversation, because that cuts short so much of time later for people. And from there on, it's a great start, and it allow people to understand each other in a more deeper manner, how we wanted to relate and how we wanted to connect and how we wanted to work with each other. Same applies to a broader group as well. Let's create meaningful agreements. Let's move away from having expectations of people.
Oh.
Expectations are very toxic. It's one-sided. Even if you communicate it, when people don't raise up to your expectation, you're going to feel disappointed. So I'm a big proponent of moving away from expectations and talk about that and create mutual agreements.
Create a safe space where you can feel
Yes,
free to talk and to
yes,
express your concerns.
absolutely. I had this, one of my agreement with my team member is, hashtag no surprises. That's something that I shared with all my people. If any of you, including me, if we mess something up, if we screw something up, if there is something big stewing, anything that I need to know as your leader, come to me first. Just tell me whatever it is. And the only reason I wanted to hear it first from you, so that I can go bat for you. I can protect. I can figure out how to manage these people. And I can take whatever I need to take as a blame because you're part of my team. All of them, I need to be prepared for that. So come to me first. That's a very popular agreement in my team, where you can see, I will have hashtag no surprises meetings on my calendar. There won't be anything inside, but hashtag no surprises. And when that comes in, my priority, I'm that one of the agreement that I had with my team is, no matter what I have, you put the time on my calendar, I will figure out, move some of the other meetings because this is top priority. That's my secret code basically with my
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
And I will accept that, and I will find my time to talk to them, whatever that is. And I people started coming to me, not every day, but when I see those meetings, I know that one, people don't want to surprise me. Two, there is something important that needs my attention or my advice or my help or whatever that is. Three, they need help or something that I can do to support them, whatever is going on. And when you have a structure, when you have a system like that, where people are coming to you, not just talking about the amazing accomplishments, but some of their, like dreading moments in whatever capacity, you have created a space. And my responsibility is not to freak out, not to yell, not to, no. Okay, great. Now we've talked about this. What can we do?
And I think like you are onto something, because I think also like if you give a task, if you give a team member a task, then if you and then the team member works on that task and then delivers, and then all of a sudden you say, no, this is not what I had in mind. Then you have like then it's the leader's thing. You have to speak clearly, and you
Absolutely.
have to give time to go through, like think about this, and then we just tweak it. But I just want to say that Ashwarya, she thanked for this great insights to connect, network, and grow in professionality.
Thank you.
She had to go, so she thanks us and wishes us a great day. My friend Rab Basi, the comedian in the UK, he says, Pradeepa, thanks for sharing your clarity on leadership. And then he says, I have not seen Hedin so quiet and inspired for a long time. I am not sure about mining diamonds, but I believe Hedin has uncovered a genuine diamond. Oh, he knows what to say, this man. But as we have, like, this has been an awesome chat, awesome session, and when you're having fun, time flies. So I just, this is just one of those inspiring conversations that you, like, I don't know if I mentioned to you, I just want to be surprised. So the hashtag did not work for me, but because I want to be surprised, I want to be inspired, I want you to like dazzle me, because this is you have said so many things that people should embrace. And we need, if there's something that we need today, is to be warm, give hug, be interested. And my thing is just like be curious, be interested, be inspired.
Yeah.
Don't wait for others to do. Start by doing them yourself. Isn't it? It's just like live, live. So
Absolutely.
it's just like fun. I have really had a great time, and the people who are with us, they're the best. That's how
Absolutely.
it is. So thank you very much. But before we go, because I want to mention that next week that will be another inspiring conversation, and that will be with Tracy Austin, and where we are going to talk about people strategy. Why is it that my mouth is not connected to my brain? Uh, people strategy, people strategy for the people strategy for the trades, a blueprint for high performing teams. This will
You
go
got
into
it.
the. Yes, thank you. Same time. Yeah. Oh, so, and as always, be curious, be interested, be inspired. And I think that it's okay if people just, you can find Pradeepa on LinkedIn and Facebook, isn't it?
Yes.
And you have a website called pradeepa.coach,
Correct.
like hands-on.coach. Whoop, whoop. Great minds think alike. And just go and check out Pradeepa's work, and go out and check Pradeepa's book, because I think you are really onto something, aren't you?
Mm.
Like you are just, this is so easy to think, and I think everybody should take this in. And it's nothing, because we didn't even go to the difference between the men and the women at the workplace, because that would be Pradeepa 2.0 interview, isn't it? Because we men, when we have our feelings, oh no, mindfulness, oh no, and we are just running away. But it's okay. You will live. So, but Pradeepa, I have had a blast. Like, and I hope you have had fun as well. So
Thank you
just
so much.
thank you from the bottom of my heart, and just everybody who was following, just check out Pradeepa's work. Thank you.